Today we have 3 true scary birthday stories. Please make sure to like and subscribe. My heart pounded with excitement and a hint of anxiety as I woke up on my birthday morning. The sun had just begun to rise, casting a warm glow through the curtains, and I could hardly believe that I had turned 24. Birthdays had always been my favorite time of the year, a day of celebration and joy. Little did I know that this birthday would be like no other, forever etched in my memory as the day I encountered the inexplicable and terrifying. I had planned a small gathering of close friends at my family's cabin in the woods, a remote, rustic retreat nestled in the heart of the forest. The crisp autumn air greeted me as I made my way to the cabin, a charming and slightly eerie place, the setting for countless childhood ghost stories. I had never believed in the tales of the cabin being haunted, but that morning, something about the way the trees swayed in the wind made me shiver with an uneasy feeling. My friends started to arrive, and we began decorating the cabin, filling it with laughter and the aroma of delicious food. The atmosphere was jovial, as we settled in for a day of games, feasting, and spooky stories to honor the eerie charm of the cabin. As the sun began to set, casting long, ominous shadows, I felt the excitement wane and a deep unease settle in. Maybe it was the stories my friends had begun to tell, of restless spirits and strange happenings in the woods, that were starting to get to me. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, something was lurking just beyond our sight. We decided to play a game of hide and seek, something we had done countless times in the past. I volunteered to be it, and my friends scattered into the darkening forest to hide. I counted to 100, my voice echoing through the trees, but as I ventured into the woods to find them, the shadows seemed denser, the night more profound. It wasn't long before I realized that I had lost my way. Panic began to set in as I stumbled deeper into the woods, trying to find any sign of my friends. The darkness seemed to swallow me whole, the trees twisting and contorting, as though mocking my fear. Then, I heard a faint whisper, a voice calling my name. It was Emma's voice, one of my closest friends. Relieved, I followed the sound of her voice, but with every step, it seemed to recede farther into the woods, like a phantom luring me into the abyss. I called out to her, but there was no response. My heart raced as I continued to chase the elusive voice. The forest around me became more menacing, the trees closing in like gnarled fingers. Suddenly, I stumbled upon a clearing, and there, standing in the pale moonlight, was Emma. She was facing away from me, her long, dark hair obscuring her face. "Emma, it's me." I called out, my voice trembling. She turned slowly to face me, and as the moonlight illuminated her face, I gasped in horror. Her eyes were empty, devoid of any humanity, and her lips were twisted into a grotesque grin. She reached out her hand, and I stumbled back, falling to the ground. As I tried to scramble away from her, I realized I was surrounded by my friends, each with the same vacant, sinister expressions. They were all standing there, staring at me, their eyes devoid of any emotion. Panic surged through me as I realized something was terribly wrong, and this was not a prank. I turned and fled, crashing through the underbrush, and ran deeper into the forest, away from my friends who were no longer my friends. The trees loomed overhead like silent sentinels, casting eerie shapes in the moonlight. The sounds of the forest had grown into a deafening cacophony of rustling leaves, howling wind, and eerie whispers that seemed to emanate from the very trees themselves. I had no idea where I was going, only that I needed to get as far away from my friends as possible. My breath came in ragged gasps, and the forest seemed endless. Time lost all meaning as I stumbled through the darkness, the woods seeming to stretch on forever. I finally came to a halt, utterly disoriented and exhausted. My heart was still racing, and my mind was a jumble of fear and confusion. That's when I heard it, a distant, mournful wail that sent shivers down my spine. It was a sound like no other, a sound that seemed to emanate from the very heart of the forest. I followed the eerie sound, my feet carrying me deeper into the woods. The wailing grew louder, more haunting, and I felt a compulsion to find its source. It was as if the forest itself was guiding me, leading me towards some unknown and terrifying revelation. Eventually, I came to a clearing bathed in moonlight, and in the center of it, I saw a dilapidated cabin, much older and more decrepit than the one we had celebrated in earlier. The wailing sound seemed to be coming from within the cabin. I approached cautiously, my fear mingling with a sense of morbid curiosity. The door to the cabin creaked open, revealing a pitch-black interior. I hesitated but then stepped inside, driven by an irresistible force. The wailing was louder now, echoing through the cabin, and as I ventured further into the darkness, I stumbled upon a horrifying sight. In the center of the room was a figure, a twisted and grotesque figure draped in tattered rags. It was the source of the wailing, a mournful, tormented cry that filled the cabin. The figure turned to me, its face contorted in agony, and in that moment, I realized it was me. It was my own face, my own tormented expression, as though I was witnessing my own suffering. I recoiled in horror, but there was no escape. The cabin seemed to close in around me, the walls pulsating with a malevolent energy. I was trapped, surrounded by the echoing cries of my doppelganger. Then, the figure reached out a hand, and I felt an icy grip on my wrist. It pulled me closer, and I screamed as I realized I was being drawn into the torment, becoming a part of the endless cycle of suffering. The next thing I knew, I woke up in my own bed, drenched in sweat, my heart pounding. It was morning, and the sunlight filtered through the curtains. It had all been a nightmare, a terrible, horrifying dream. Relief washed over me as I realized I was safe in my own room, but the memory of that night in the woods still haunted me. The feeling of being watched, the eerie whispers in the trees, and the inexplicable fear I had felt were all too real. I couldn't shake the sense that the cabin in the woods held some ancient, malevolent presence, and that my birthday had brought me face to face with a darkness beyond comprehension. As I lay in bed, I couldn't help but wonder if the nightmare was a warning, a glimpse into a reality that I had narrowly escaped, or if it was a premonition of something far more sinister. One thing was clear, I would never look at my birthday the same way again. The joy and celebration had been replaced by an overwhelming sense of dread, a reminder that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we dare to imagine. The memory of that haunted birthday would forever be etched in my mind, a terrifying tale that I could never forget. It was my 18th birthday, a day that was supposed to be filled with laughter, joy, and the warmth of my loved ones. Little did I know, it would turn into a nightmarish experience that would haunt me for the rest of my life. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the shadows grew longer, an eerie feeling settled over me, sending shivers down my spine. It was on that ominous evening that I experienced something so terrifying, it would change me forever. The day started off like any other birthday. My family and friends gathered at our old, creaky house on the outskirts of town. The air was thick with anticipation as I blew out the candles on my cake, surrounded by smiling faces. However, as the night descended, an unsettling sensation took hold of me. It felt as though unseen eyes were watching, and the air grew colder, despite the roaring fire in the fireplace. Amidst the laughter and chatter, a strange, tattered invitation appeared on the doorstep. None of us knew who it was from, but curiosity got the better of us. The invitation led us to an abandoned mansion at the edge of the woods, its windows shattered and ivy creeping up its walls. Against our better judgment, we entered, drawn in by an inexplicable force. Inside the mansion, a grand ballroom awaited us. The room was adorned with decaying chandeliers, and the walls seemed to whisper secrets of the past. We found a table set for a macabre feast, rotting food, cobweb-covered dishes, and flickering candles casting eerie shadows. The atmosphere grew thick with unease as we realized we were not alone. Ghostly figures moved in the shadows, their eyes hollow and menacing. As the night wore on, we were compelled to participate in twisted games orchestrated by the malevolent spirits. Each game grew more horrifying, testing the limits of our sanity. The air was filled with the scent of decay and the distant sound of mournful cries. The spirits seemed to feed on our fear, their spectral forms growing stronger with each terrified scream. In the midst of the chaos, a ghostly figure emerged, a young girl with hollow eyes and a voice that sent shivers down our spines. She revealed a dark secret about the mansion. It was cursed by an ancient evil, seeking revenge for a long-forgotten betrayal. The spirits trapped within the mansion were condemned to torment any soul that dared to enter, ensuring their suffering endured for eternity. Panic gripped us as we realized the gravity of our situation. The walls of the mansion seemed to close in around us, and the ghostly figures grew more aggressive. We raced against time, desperately searching for a way to break the curse and free the trapped souls. With each passing moment, the malevolent force tightened its grip, threatening to consume us entirely. In a desperate bid to save ourselves and the spirits, we unraveled the mansion's dark history. It was revealed that the key to breaking the curse lay in a sacrificial ritual, a sacrifice of love and redemption. One among us had to willingly offer themselves to the spirits, absorbing the curse and granting the trapped souls release. With heavy hearts, we made the heartbreaking decision. As the sacrificial ritual took place, the mansion shook with an otherworldly force. The malevolent presence recoiled, its screams echoing through the halls. In a blinding flash of light, the curse was broken. The mansion crumbled to dust, and the spirits were finally freed from their torment. The sacrifice, although painful, had saved us all. In the aftermath, we found ourselves back at the old house, the sun peeking over the horizon. The memories of that terrifying night remained etched in our minds, a reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of the mundane. As I looked back on my 18th birthday, I knew I had survived something unimaginable. The experience had changed me, leaving me with a newfound appreciation for the fragile line between the living and the dead. And so, as I blew out the candles on my cake once again, I whispered a silent thank you to the brave soul who had sacrificed themselves for our lives. The scars of that night would never fully fade, but they served as a reminder of the strength of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable horror. As a child, I eagerly anticipated my birthdays. They were a yearly beacon of joy in my otherwise ordinary life. But the year I turned 12, something happened that would forever alter the way I viewed those celebratory days. It was a cool autumn evening in a small town nestled among the rolling hills. The sun cast long shadows as it dipped below the horizon, promising a starry night. My birthday fell on October 12th, and I had invited a few of my closest friends over for a sleepover. Mom had decorated the living room with orange and black streamers, and the scent of her freshly baked chocolate cake wafted through the air. As the clock struck 7, the doorbell chimed with each excited arrival. My friends brought presents and laughter, and the evening was filled with joy and youthful exuberance. We played games, watched scary movies, and gorged on cake and ice cream. But as the night grew darker, so did the atmosphere. Around midnight, my friend Jenny suggested that we should perform a séance. We had heard all sorts of stories about spirits and ghosts, and the idea of making contact with the other side seemed both thrilling and terrifying. The mood in the room shifted, but we were all in, eager for the adventure. We gathered in a circle on the living room floor, the flickering candles casting eerie shadows on the walls. We placed our hands on a makeshift Ouija board we had drawn on a piece of paper. The planchette, a simple upturned glass, sat in the middle of the board. We dimmed the lights and, with bated breath, began to ask questions. "Is there anyone here with us?" I whispered, my voice quivering. The glass trembled and started to move. It slid towards the letters yes. The room grew colder, and I felt a shiver race down my spine. "What's your name?" Jenny asked, her voice as shaky as mine. The glass spelled out Alex. We all exchanged nervous glances. None of us knew an Alex who had passed away. It was an unusual name to pop up during the séance. "Are you a friendly spirit, Alex?" Mark inquired. The glass slid to an O. Our hearts raced as we stared at the eerie communication happening before our eyes. "Are you angry?" I ventured. "Yes." "Why are you angry, Alex?" The glass spelled out HURT. A heavy silence settled over the room, broken only by the sound of our own heartbeats. We had unwittingly invited a spirit into our circle, a spirit named Alex who was hurt and angry. The atmosphere in the room had shifted from playful curiosity to apprehension. "What happened to you, Alex?" Jenny asked. The glass began to spell out words with a slow, deliberate movement. "Birthday." My heart skipped a beat as I realized what was happening. The spirit was talking about a birthday, just like mine. But how could a birthday cause such anger and hurt? "Whose birthday, Alex?" I inquired, my voice trembling. "Yours." The room seemed to grow colder as dread settled in. This spirit, Alex, was referring to my birthday. It was impossible, wasn't it? A spirit from my own birthday, angry and hurt? "What happened on my birthday, Alex?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. The glass spelled out TRAPPED. I felt a lump in my throat. "Trapped?" "Where?" The glass spelled out HERE. As if on cue, the lights flickered and the room plunged into darkness. The sudden blackout sent us all into a panic. We scrambled to find flashlights and candles, and when the lights came back on, the room felt different. The air was thick with an unsettling energy. It was as if the room had become a portal to another world, and we were no longer alone. We felt a presence, an oppressive force that seemed to be closing in on us. Our laughter had been replaced by trembling voices, and the once festive mood had soured. "Let's stop this," Mark said, his voice shaky. "This isn't right. We shouldn't have messed with this stuff," but we couldn't stop. The spirit of Alex had us in his grip, and we were driven to find out more about what had happened to him on my birthday. "Alex," I said, my voice stronger now, "what happened on my birthday that trapped you here?" The glass moved, spelling out FIRE. I gasped. I remembered my 12th birthday like it was yesterday. There had been a terrible fire in our town, and I had narrowly escaped from our burning house. The memory rushed back, vivid and terrifying. Did you die in the fire, Alex?" The glass slid to YES. Chills ran down my spine, and tears welled up in my eyes. This spirit, Alex, was the spirit of a child who had perished in the same fire that had almost claimed my life. It was a tragedy, a horror I had tried to forget, but now it had resurfaced on the very night of my birthday. "Alex," I said softly, my voice filled with empathy, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Is there anything we can do to help you?" The glass spelled out RELASE. We understood. Alex wanted release from the torment that had kept him trapped all these years. We didn't know how, but we were determined to help him find peace. As we continued to communicate with Alex, the room grew colder and the atmosphere more oppressive. We could hear whispers, indistinct voices, and footsteps that didn't belong to us. It was as if the spirit world was encroaching on our reality, and we were caught in the middle. "Alex, we promise to help you," Jenny said, her voice filled with sincerity. "But we need to understand more." "What do we need to do?" The glass spelled out FINDKY. "Key?" "What key?" Mark asked. "Alex, where is the key?" I added. The glass slid to a series of letters, BNEATHTHEFLORBORDS. We exchanged nervous glances. The room was filled with old floorboards, and the thought of searching for a key in the dark sent shivers down our spines. The sense of urgency grew as the spirit's presence in the room became stronger. We felt as if we were being watched, surrounded by unseen eyes. But we had made a promise to help Alex, and we couldn't turn back now. Gathering our courage, we located a pry bar and began lifting the creaky floorboards. It felt like an eternity in the cold, dimly lit room. Our flashlights revealed a small, tarnished key buried beneath the wooden planks. The moment we retrieved the key, a chilling wind swept through the room. We knew it was time. With trembling hands, I held the key over the Ouija board. The glass began to move on its own, spelling out DOR. We understood. The key was meant for a door that would lead Alex to his release. We searched the house until we found a locked door in the basement. The door was old, covered in dust and cobwebs. It creaked open with a heavy groan, revealing a narrow, dark passage. The air inside was suffused with a musty, ancient odor. Alex's spirit beckoned us to follow, and so we did, our flashlights piercing the darkness. The passage led us to a hidden room beneath the house, filled with old furniture, candles, and a heavy, oppressive energy. In the center of the room was a small, ornate chest. The key fit perfectly, and when we opened it, we found a collection of photographs and a letter. The photographs depicted a young boy with a joyful smile, and the letter told the tragic story of a child who had been caught in the fire on his 12th birthday, the same day I had almost perished. The boy's name was Alex, and he had been my neighbor, living in the house next door. Tears welled up in our eyes as we realized the truth. The fire had taken Alex's life, and his spirit had been trapped, unable to move on. He had reached out to us on my birthday to find the closure he so desperately needed. As we read the letter, the oppressive energy in the room began to lift. The whispers and footsteps grew fainter, and a sense of peace settled over the hidden chamber. With a final heartfelt farewell, we left the room and sealed the door behind us. It was as if a heavy burden had been lifted, not just from Alex, but from us as well. The room was locked away, hidden from the world once more. We never spoke of that night again, and my birthday took on a different meaning for me. It was a day of reflection and remembrance, a day when we had helped a lost soul find peace. Years passed, and my friends and I grew older, but the memory of that haunted birthday remained with us. We never forgot the boy named Alex or the journey we had taken to help him. And so, each year on October 12th, as I celebrate another year of life, I light a candle in memory of Alex and the night my birthday became a portal to the spirit world. It is a reminder that sometimes, the most haunting and beautiful experiences can come from the unlikeliest of places, and that on that night, we were given a precious gift, the gift of helping a lost soul find his way home.